Hey guys, welcome as always. Welcome again to A Counselor's Journey. I am here with Danielle Taylor. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Have a lot of energy. I think I'm on my third cup of coffee.
Yeah.
So far it's a good high. Um, it's a good it's a good, now that I'm thinking about that, I'm like, wait, why did I just say it's a good high? But caffeine
Yeah.
caffeine is legal, so it's all good.
That's true. Yeah.
It's moderation too. They're little baby mugs.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Like espresso or
no,
real
it's
just
actually
coffee.
huge. Like on the
Oh,
video,
oh
it's a big
wow.
mug.
Oh yeah, that is pretty big.
But to make myself feel better, I'll just say it's a little one. My wife, she
Yeah.
buys the I can't remember who makes them, but they're like these coffee mugs that are like curvy.
Mm. I've never seen
Someone
those.
someone makes them. Yeah, it's like they're handmade, I
Hmm.
guess.
Okay.
So, the rim is not a perfect circle, but they're huge.
Hmm.
They're humongous. They hold probably like 30
Okay.
ounces.
So when
Um,
you hold it, your whole hand can fit
yeah,
around the handle.
exactly.
Okay.
If you watch Gilmore Girls, then they've got those
Okay.
huge cups of coffee. It's basically like
Hmm.
that. So the one I have
Oh.
compared to it is tiny.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
man. Yeah, I drink coffee too, but it just makes me kind of jittery, so I only can have like one or two cups.
One day I'll get to that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I
addictive.
It is, but it's like beautifully addictive where it tastes good, it
Yeah.
smells good.
Yeah, it keeps you productive.
Exactly. Yeah, there's all these pros to it. I wanted to
Exactly.
have you on today again, and you were on here before, but this one
Hmm.
to be a little bit more specific, diving into starting a private practice. And then I think from your end, you have kind of like a checklist of 5 key items. And then we're going to
Hmm.
give ourselves like this avatar, right? This clinician out there in the field. His name is Carlos, and he's got a yellow backpack. Would you say that? And on the back of it
Okay.
says Carlos, and he works in a community setting. And
Okay. I
he's
can
like, you know
picture an
what?
LL Bean backpack.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he's got a ball cap.
Okay.
And he's like, look, I am in a community setting and I
Hmm.
have my full license and I want to transition into private practice. But right now I feel a little bit lost, a little bit insecure.
Hmm.
I want to work with you. And then I kind of want to see from your end, which I'm putting you in the spot, right?
Yeah.
Live, everyone in the world can hear and
I
see
know.
the amazing things that you're going to say.
Hmm.
What are these, key steps to get him where he's able to have a caseload, feel comfortable, in his private practice,
Hmm.
and feel that, he's going in the right direction versus, right now feeling lost and insecure.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, take it away.
All right. So, what obviously I think number one is getting set up with the logistics of making sure you have a business address, a physical location, so that you can get mail and so that you could also bill if you're on insurance panels. Um, and then, well, getting your LLC also, whether it be LLC or S Corp or whatever organization you want to get. Um, because whether you go on insurance or not, you're going to need to have that, and also your tax ID and your NPI number, which come along right after you choose your business name, and also choosing your business name based off of something that you feel represents you a little bit and that's most comfortable, um, and then the other logistics like getting an electronic record system and just signing up for things that you're not going to necessarily use right away, but that you can start a trial on. And so you can start, poking around and seeing what you like Simple
Yeah.
Practice or all those other ones. Um, and then a website company and just kind of getting your feet wet on what you could use, and maybe like an office management system where you have or not office management, but um, Office 365, where you have Word and you have Excel and you have all these things to be able to do. And then also your business credit cards after you get your address and everything, so that once you start paying for whether it be your EHR or different things, you can start expensing them and
Yeah.
writing them off and, keeping it all organized.
I like that. I think logistics is usually one item where a lot of clinicians will skip right past. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I just want to get to the point where I'm sitting in the office providing therapy, I'm working with an individual.
Yeah.
which makes sense, because I think a lot of us, when we dive into private practice, starting a business, we
Mm-hmm.
look at it from like a trade point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like a plumber, their trade is plumbing, or electrician.
Yeah.
Our trade is engaging in counseling, psychotherapy. So
Mm-hmm.
we want to go in there and just utilize that one part of the brain.
Yeah.
But you're speaking to logistics, being able to dive into the entrepreneur part, make
Yeah.
sure you cover your butt, have your
Yep.
insurance, work with a CPA to get your
Mm-hmm.
LLC or set up a
Mm-hmm.
corporation,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be. And a lot of these items, I think, that you listed, it's nice now that we have the internet. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
imagine back then, but it's nice now, like you could get online and look up a tax ID and then get one,
Yeah.
within the same week.
Yeah.
NPI, it seems like they're like, these strange things like, what is an NPI? Why do I need a one or a two? But,
Yeah.
quick Google search, it'll tell you exactly,
Oh,
there's the
yeah.
answer, black and white.
So quick. Yeah. Yeah, and it's really interesting for business addresses. I've been hearing a lot about like business incubators, which are really popular now, where it's like an address. It's almost like a WeWork, and
Mm-hmm.
you pay for the address, and you can use their office space too, and they have a fax machine, but they also give you business advice and counseling. It's really interesting.
That is cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And then obviously like where are you going to be practicing? Like what states and what are the laws, and
Yeah. Getting into
based on
those.
where you want your business address. Yeah.
I like that you brought up naming your practice, during the early
Mm-hmm.
stages, because, that has a lot to do with what's going to happen, 5, 10 years down the road.
Yeah.
What have you seen, early on? You're working with Carlos,
Mm-hmm.
do you recommend him to go with Carlos therapy or with, something else? How does that conversation go?
Yeah, I always look at, and that's what I did with myself too, is looking at if you're planning to ever hire or expand your business in some sort of way. Like I do consulting services, and I might do, continuing education courses, just like adding different things to it. I wanted to have something that was more general. And also when people were searching on the internet, that's why I have marriage and family therapy services, because I wanted all those keywords in there for people to pick it up, because I feel like if they're searching, if it's my name, then that makes it a little bit different.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
well put. I've seen that. I've seen, utilize the strategy of your town. Like if you live in
Hmm.
Rocky Town, or like, well, for mine, I'll use mine, Greensboro, North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
So it
Hmm.
will be, strategy is name your practice, Greensboro Counseling
Yeah.
Practice.
Yeah, it's
Because
a
when
great idea.
people search, typically in their town, they would search, mechanics in Greensboro, counselors in
Hmm.
Greensboro. So when we look at SEO, search engine optimization, again,
Hmm.
logistics, you're able to have that. Um,
Hmm.
but I think, I don't know if I have like a concrete which one is better. I
Yeah.
see all of them being
Yeah.
successful. Your
Oh
name,
yeah. Hmm.
town name, your last
Hmm.
name.
Hmm.
Um, it just depends on, your due diligence and how much work you put into it.
Yeah, because some of the upsides of having your name is obviously when people Google your name, when clients are Googling your name, that it just comes right up like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So logistics, and I'm sure that's
Hmm.
a tedious practice for a lot of people. I wasn't
Yeah.
a fan of it when I when I was going through
Yeah.
it.
But
I
it's
was ready
nice
to
to get it
retire.
out of the way.
It is nice. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm not
It's all
sure if
those things you
that's,
could just check off and do and get it done and put it to the side.
yeah. Do you think a lot of clinicians have trouble with that, just maybe due to like a lack of training during graduate school?
I had trouble with the
Logistics, like,
logistics.
setting up these accounts. Do I do an LLC or a
Yeah.
corporation?
Hmm.
We seem to be pretty good when it comes to like, I'm going to get trained in EMDR or
Yeah.
in this, modality. Like we're just eager
Hmm.
beavers when it comes to that.
Yeah.
The other
Yeah.
stuff is like, oh, I'm scratching my head.
Ugh. Yeah,
What's
I
going
think it's
on
because
there?
there's a reason that we're therapists. Our brains work very, I don't know, emotionally and systemically. Like it's very different than like logistics, like right brain, left brain type thing. I feel like
Yeah.
certain people are like really good at math and really good at keeping on top of those things. Like for example, I'm not at all with accounting and my bookkeeping and all that. I've had to get training on that, or have somebody help me, because just doing therapy and yeah, getting the training for actually the theories is where we're good
Yeah.
at it. Yeah.
So awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Number two, what's next on this list?
Number two, I would say forms, because they take forever.
Yeah.
And it just, sorry, there's a phone obviously
That's all
going
right.
off in the background. So the forms are really important because you have to, there's so many, right? There's probably like 10 different types of forms that you need
Yeah.
to have, even when you get down to the like a cancellation waiver, or
Mm-hmm.
just like these small forms that you have here and there. But getting them started, and I always recommend people to do it themselves. And I know some people sell it, and that's one way to look at it. But then for me, I feel like I want them to have it in their own words, because when they're explaining it to clients, and to be able to put it the way that you talk, kind of, and it kind of just
Mm-hmm.
gives the client a good view of who you are. And then it also includes every little thing that you can think of in there, as opposed to just a generic
Yeah.
form that you kind of plug into.
How do you go about, and I love that. So I love um, sitting down with Carlos and saying, Carlos, how would you write your late cancellation policy? How would
Mm-hmm.
you write your intake questionnaire? What questions do you want to know? Right. So
Mm-hmm.
that, that they're working in and on the business. What about those
Mm-hmm.
documents like HIPAA, release of
Mm-hmm.
information, the ones that just dance with ethics and with law within a state?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
how do you help someone? Carlos is like, I don't know what to put on this. Help me.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's what I do, especially for forms, for any form, whether it be release of information or even your informed consent. Just I give bullet points of little things. I go down my own, and I just kind of highlight what I think is important to put in each one. And so that gives them a framework to be able to create their own. Um, but just little things of what to say and what to look out for, and the pros and the cons to therapy, and um, just to especially cover themselves ethically and with the state laws.
Yeah. Have you found any resources like with some of those documents that need a little more legal terminology, such as the release of information, um,
Mm-hmm.
being able to say, hey, go talk to the board and
Mm-hmm.
see if they have supplemental forms for you, or sit down
Mm-hmm.
with a attorney, or
Mm-hmm.
just to see what you can purchase there.
Yeah, yeah. That definitely helps. Also, just kind of summarizing. I kind of summarize the HIPAA stuff in my own, and I summarize the legal stuff just to put it into my own words anyway. But yeah, and even, especially the EHR that they sign up for, the record system has those templates of things that were probably already really well thought out,
Okay.
that they can use. Yeah, but yeah, talking to an attorney, and that's a really good idea.
Yeah, I like yours. I definitely think that takes like a really unique perspective,
Mm-hmm.
versus purchasing. There's tons of them out there that you could purchase, informed consent,
Mm-hmm.
every single one, and it does expedite, make the process a little bit faster. But there's
Mm-hmm.
something really unique and beautiful about someone sitting down, tailoring their words, and then their
Mm-hmm.
words unfolding within a counseling session or within the infrastructure of the business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Now we are
So
at
yeah.
number 3.
Yeah. Yeah. Number three, if people want to do insurance, learning to educate themselves on insurance in general, and just how it all works, and the codes, and what a 1500 form is, and what you need to put versus what you don't need to put.
Yeah.
Like for example, telehealth, you don't need to put where the client physically is on the claim form. Like just learning different things, um, yeah, are really important. So, and then learning how to bill using the modifiers for telehealth, and what also the documentation requirements for insurances. Um, and I always recommend people to kind of compile all of them if we're on a lot of insurances, and have one questionnaire that kind of hits all of those points, asks all of those questions, and that you're taking notes in like a averaging all of the requirements type of way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's good. So I was like thinking ahead, incorporating, what insurance would want to know within the documentation process. Do you have a lot of clinicians steer away from it? Like maybe a fear, like, God, I've always heard, scary stories,
Yeah.
insurance. How do
Yeah.
you welcome
Do you,
someone into that conversation?
yeah. Well, I know it's a headache too. I mean, I do insurance, so it can be a headache, but I feel like once you get it going, it's pretty easy once you know what to ask for when you're calling. And
Yeah.
yeah, but I always encourage people to just keep their minds open to it, because it gives you a lot of clients if they want a high volume. And also it depends on the type of clientele you want to market towards. Certain areas can't afford therapy at a rate that you want to charge, or, if you want to help people who can't afford to go out of pocket and would rather do insurance. It just kind of depends on like the personal style.
Yeah. So being able to set up like a strong systems and structure whenever you're using insurance, stay organized. And then once you do that training and due diligence, things should roll forward. And
Yeah.
then there's also a lot of good companies out there that I notice now with, I guess they're created by clinicians who do the credentialing for practices. So you're able to kind of hand that off and have somebody else do it.
Yeah.
I agree with yours though. In the beginning, it was tough. But the more that you get your hands wet with it, it's just like, working in a counseling session comes second nature.
Yeah.
A little bit easier as you go forward.
Yeah. Are you on insurance too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our practice does a good mixture, probably like 50-50 insurance and then out of pocket. I agree with your statement, as far as affordability. I like to look at market research and be able to just have a concrete conversation with myself, with my wife, as a practice owner, and just say, okay, our area, like what's the most abundant insurance here? We have a lot of hospitals here and they support, providing insurance to individuals. We look at who are our ideal clients and what are their pain points, but also what resources do they utilize in the community.
Yeah.
And just like marketing, if you notice that one of your clients utilizes the church and then you meet them halfway by doing a free workshop there. And I think it's no different. The same client utilizes Blue Cross Blue Shield. So then you're able to implement that within your practice.
Yeah. And I know we'll get to the last step I would recommend is advertising, but that reminds me, if there's a lot of hospitals around, it's like, getting on their referral lists for therapists and using your surroundings.
So that was number 5.
It was, yeah.
Okay. So let's just dive right into that.
Well, number 4, I think right before that is the getting organized.
Number 4. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Look at
No,
me,
that's
eager
okay.
beaver, skipping ahead. I'm sorry. Number 4, getting
No, that's okay.
organized.
Yeah. Yeah, I think getting organized, having spreadsheets for yourself to organize the different telehealth state laws, to organize different insurance requirements, to just organize when taxes are due, and what taxes are due based on your practice. And then also the record system too. Just getting organized, like trying to watch all the tutorials and really just get in there and get your feet wet and everything.
Absolutely. I found that what's helpful is if clinicians are able to document what they do, something as simple as like how to bill your insurance, instead of going through it. And it's annoying at times, but just write down each step that you take. And then I think that helps to build systems so that it's easier to do things in the future, and then maybe to hand it off for someone else to do it.
Yeah.
Now you've got almost like a policy manual within your practice. And this one incorporates more of the systems and the logistics, which I think is exactly what you're speaking to.
Yeah. And there's some kind of manuals out there like that, but yeah, it would be great to create your own.
Do you encourage, let's say Carlos in this case, the clinician going from community to private practice, any mindset development when it comes to getting organized? He may say, hey, I'm really organized with my notes. Get them in on time within that, 24-hour time frame. What about the other side of the brain, looking at building that entrepreneur mindset?
Yeah, like just the logistics of the business and just getting in that mindset that it's just stuff that you kind of have to check off and that you have to get done, but that if kind of organizing your time too and blocking out time to do billing and blocking out time to do this and that, because if your brain doesn't typically work like that, it's like, okay, I'm going to get into that mode that I don't really want to get into, but I'm going to get into it just for this amount of time, once a week for a couple hours. Yeah.
I like that. So having like structured time versus I'm going to somehow in this hour do notes, write a blog, call insurance and so forth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it can get messy. I think that's one of the difficulties. I should have like a statistic on it, but of all the consultations that I've done with different, is it
Mhm.
consultees? Is that the term?
I guess, yeah. Consultation client, yeah.
Consultation client, clinicians, they'll just share like that intermingling. It'll be like, Juan, I was sitting down and doing a blog, and then on the other tab on my Mac, I had, schedule for maybe clients, and then I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to catch up on this.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. I'm like, I definitely get that. Getting
Mm-hmm.
starting a private practice, you're trying to do so much because you're
Mm-hmm.
wearing every hat in the business,
Yeah.
and you're wearing every hat in your personal life.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
You're like the Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
They should have
Yeah.
gave him a lot of hats. That would have been funny. So
Yeah, balancing all that.
yeah, that definitely helps.
Especially now with people having to do virtual learning for their kids, but also starting a practice and having to also have another job, because if you're starting a practice, you probably have another job.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
very
It's a
good
lot.
points.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess just slow, maybe having like a Monday. Monday is logistics or,
Yeah,
business, blank, 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 blank.
exactly.
Over
And
time,
being
getting
patient.
into it. Being patient. Very good. I like that
Yeah.
one. That's like a long-term go there.
Yeah. Because people are like, oh, I can get my practice started in a month. It's like, yeah, you might, but life also happens, and COVID, and whether it be school or kids or just something.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I've seen a lot of those ads out there, like,
Hmm.
get your practice started in 30 days,
Yeah.
or, get fully booked right away. And it sounds awesome. Like
If
I've
you
dove into
have
them to get to
24
know
7.
them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It puts too much risk on not getting to know what you're building.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, imagine a relationship,
Yeah.
get married in 30 days,
Yeah. They have
right?
shows like that.
They have shows like it, and we see what those shows are like.
Exactly.
I'm like, Juan, you were watching that show and you thought it was awesome.
Yeah. Sometimes it's nice to just, yeah, watch something like that.
Yeah. But it's just a thought there, a thought
Yeah.
as far as you can go fast, um, but it's important to know your business,
Mm-hmm.
so that, at some point, if you hire other people, you
Mm-hmm.
know what they're doing, you know how to train them effectively,
Mm-hmm.
there's no missing pieces.
Yeah. It's almost like getting ready to like plug it all in at the end. It's like you don't want to plug it in until everything is set up. You don't want to start
Hmm.
seeing clients until you have the paperwork completely done, and you know the ins and outs of all the systems you're using.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should have definitely somehow came to the future from my past self to this episode,
I
because
know,
I
right?
certainly didn't do it that way.
I don't know that there were podcasts and things like this that were that helpful. That, I mean, there were articles, and it's just different
Hmm.
hearing, I think, hearing someone's advice.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Anything else with number 4 with getting organized?
I don't think so. But yeah, number 5 is advertising,
Okay,
I think,
advertising.
and networking. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you
Mhm.
find that that's like the one most people just want to know about?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what do you think about that? Just like the concept of, tell me about marketing, skip the rest.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can see why, because you want to just get out there, you want to get your name out there and get started. But I feel like if it's going to be more of a headache if you don't have all the ducks in a row
Hmm.
before that point.
Yeah.
So
That's,
I
yeah, no,
always,
you,
yeah,
you put it very well. Yeah.
yeah, encourage the building first, and then advertising is like, okay, I have everything done. Now I'm ready to put my name out there, because as soon as you put your name out there and your phone number out there, you might get a call tomorrow. So it's like,
Yeah.
are you ready for that?
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I
Hmm.
had that same conversation just a couple of months ago, and they were just so excited, which I enjoy. I enjoy the excitement.
Hmm.
The whole conversation, though, just all marketing.
Hmm.
And, I was sharing with them. I said, okay, let's just say we did all this marketing, right?
Hmm.
And you got 10 calls coming in.
Hmm.
And let's say they came in and you're saying you want to take insurance, so they're coming in with insurance,
Hmm.
right? How would you answer blank question with insurance?
Mm, yeah.
Right. So then it's like those are those curveballs, because
Hmm.
if we don't have those systems in play, that structure, then that client comes in and they have a bad experience. So then now that becomes a word of mouth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this practice is not set up, with a certain structure. It'd
Mm-hmm.
be no different than having an office. Client comes in, but there's no furniture to sit on.
Yeah, exactly. Or even how we think of and how we describe relationships. Like they have to build the foundation before you can start building the walls and all of that. Yeah.
Very well put. All these are great quotes. I'm going to steal them.
Feel free.
Um, so how would you walk Carlos through this avenue of marketing, building his brand, getting the word out there?
I would say that using the internet is going to be the best option, obviously, because that is where the world is right now. But advertising on, and just to get started, if you're not on insurance panels and you're already advertising through that, obviously, but things like Psychology Today or like I think we talked about but last time, like cold calling places,
Yeah.
just whatever your niche is, getting into that area and those age groups and that income level and wherever it is, and just going there and kind of picturing yourself where your ideal client would be, as if you're like standing in a neighborhood looking around, like, okay, what do the people look like? What is the income? What are the community centers, the resources, the hospitals, the doctor's offices, just everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then Facebook groups too, I think are really helpful.
What do you do with those?
Just joining them, like just
Okay.
practice building ones, because I feel like they're good for referrals, but they're also good for getting different resources as you're building your practice and being able to see what other people are saying.
Okay. So getting on Facebook groups just for clinicians in general, do you ever recommend Facebook groups for a certain area of focus, like anxiety? And it's, lots of people in there that struggle with anxiety, but there's some sort of support unit around there.
You mean for clients?
It could lead to clients.
Okay. Yeah, no, I haven't thought about it in that aspect. I was just thinking more of just networks of therapists that talk about different parts of their practice or building a telehealth practice or just private practice in general, just searching mental health, private practice, whatever comes up. There's so many out there.
I know. It almost seems like too many, but I
Yeah,
think it's good that there's a lot. It's a lot of little micro niches.
exactly. But yeah, just introducing yourself to people and seeing what they have to say. And then also it's good if you need clients, if you're, you need a therapist too, once you have your practice going, to be able to be like, I have a client with this, anxiety or in this area. Can anybody help them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So being able to, I like that with the Facebook groups. One thing that I think about whenever it comes to sharing this content with someone is, whenever you're advertising, you're trying to share X message with a certain volume of people. So if you go to a church, there may be, let's say 100 people there or 50 people. But if you go to a Facebook group, one of the advantages is that it's already pre-built. It's already created. So
Yeah,
that group might
thousands
have
of people.
exactly thousands of people. So now thousands of people, without you having to do any legwork, get to be, an audience to listen to a certain statement that you have to say.
Yeah.
I also encourage making sure that when we're on those spaces, we try to provide support. Like we're there to help versus to take.
Exactly. It has to be give and take. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then what do you think about the 80-20 rule? Are you familiar with that one? Or 90-10?
No.
When you're looking at the type of content you provide, so like 10% of the time, talk about yourself. 90% of the time, reference other topics. So like if you're in a Facebook group, and let's say that you are a clinician, let's say Carlos really wants to specialize in helping people with anxiety. He may join a Facebook group that it's all about anxiety. But on there, 90% of the time, he's just sharing resources.
Yeah.
And then 10% of the time, he would share himself.
Yeah.
That's going to connect a lot better to the audience than the other way around.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because it also can be annoying to people and a turn off to just always be seeing, you trying to advertise and it's like, it's more for support and everybody's there to kind of help each other. And also you get some advertising out of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Any
Yeah.
any other tactics that you utilize or you recommend for Carlos?
Well, there's also just local networking groups too, just kind of, even Googling in the area, just seeing, typing in your town or your city, and then
Hmm.
seeing if there's therapists to get together. And that, because now a lot of them are doing virtual meetings and
Yeah.
um, different, chapters to become a part of. And the organizations, whatever the licensure is too, like I'm AAMFT, so marriage and family therapy. There's, the national boards, and so they have the state, and then social work or NASW, things like that, that you can see the different chapters and then use that, getting on their
Okay.
directories and yeah.
Yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
like that. So being able to, in this case, tell Carlos, take time to do your due diligence, write
Mm-hmm.
down all the groups that you could join, all the directories, especially the free
Mm-hmm.
ones, and be organized with it, and then be
Mm-hmm.
consistent when you show up in those spaces, and then
Definitely.
start to kind of see, what type of trickle effect it has coming towards, your caseload.
Yeah. Yeah, and I always look at the advertising and things, or networking mainly, as a way to meet people, as opposed to you don't want to fall into the desperation for clients, because then it's like might be a disappointment if it doesn't,
Hmm.
it's lower expectations, just all of that. So just going to meet other people that are kind of going through the same thing, or you can learn from, or you can help them.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So nice. I like those 5 steps. They're very clear. And,
Yeah.
and I really enjoy how, it wasn't until the end that you talked about bringing people in, which makes complete sense. Any
Mm-hmm.
kind of business that you build,
Mm-hmm.
it's important to have everything else set up.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Exactly.
so yeah, I like that. That was very organized, very clear, very to the point.
Yeah, there's obviously a million little steps in between, but
Yes.
they kind of go into those categories. Those are kind of the big areas.
Yeah, yeah, no, certainly. Because, we
Mhm.
could have went back to the first one and got into, LLC,
Oh
corporation,
yeah.
sole proprietorship,
Yeah.
working with a CPA and attorney. But it's nice that, people listening in, they're able to say, okay, those are the core nuggets that I
Mhm.
need to focus my time in. And then from
Mhm.
those, you could branch each one of them off into, a lot of different baby nuggets, if you will,
Yeah.
of work.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Thank you again for being here. This is the second time that you have been on a counselor's journey, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Um, I want to give you again space to share how people can contact you if they want to work with you in consulting,
Yeah.
or any other way they would like to work with you.
Yeah, yeah. People call me just for questions, or um, if there's one area that they like to focus on, like maybe, like you mentioned, just marketing. Maybe they have all those things already set up and ready to go. They just need some extra help, or they need help from the very beginning. They're coming out of a job where they just want to start a practice. They don't know anything, and they want to kind of just start from the ground up. I can help people obviously at any stage, but I love just having it customized and just really basing it off of what the person knows, so they're not getting a bunch of repeats of things that we're talking about that they already know.
Yeah.
I kind of get a sense of what people are looking for, and we work just one-on-one through video and through email, and
Mhm.
sending them links and helping them with whatever states they're licensed in, and just yeah. So people can email me, dbtaylor@mymfts.com, or my website www.mymfts.com, and just let me know.
Awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you again for being here. I hope that you have a good rest of the day.
You too. Thanks.